Welcome back to Be Better podcast. Before we get into the intro, we have a little bit of a disclaimer that we need you to hear.
We are not the experts of your life. You are.
We believe that most relationships can be saved. However, both parties have to want it, and both parties have to be willing to do the work.
So we speak in generalizations. If it applies to 90% of the population, and you're part of the 10% that it doesn't, it can be adapted to fit the narrative you're going with.
And it's up to you to make that adaptation. It's not up to us to cater to every single living being on the planet. We just want to get the information out there, and you can make it applicable to your life as you see fit.
So whether you decide to stay or decide to leave, you still have to make the changes that are necessary to grow. If
you fail to do the work, you're going to fail in your next relationship. So why not do the work now before quitting?
All right, so in emailing us, you are asking us for our unbiased, unfiltered opinions. If you're not ready to hear our opinions, do not email us.
And there are certain topics that we will not discuss on this podcast, such as domestic violence, SA, or other assaults and addiction.
Or children being abused.
Speaking of the emails, if you guys are going to send us an email, please be as detailed as possible. Take a second to proofread what you have sent and make sure that you have punctuation, because if you have one long paragraph that is a run-on sentence and it is a difficult thing for us to read, we're not going to sit down and retype your email just for us to be able to read it on the podcast. It will get moved into a rejected folder and we will never see it. And last but not least, if you're not interested in having your email read on our podcast, do not submit an email. We do not do direct emailing answers. It is a scratch our back. We scratch yours. You send email for our content. We give you the opinions that you're asking for. And if you would like to have your email submitted, you can send it to tobebetterco@gmail.com. The number 2, bebetterco@gmail.com. And we're back.
We're back.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here.
Yes.
Again.
Once again.
Once again.
As always.
I got nothing. I'm digging this room.
Me too.
Yep. I really think that we could get little clamps for the shelf that hold those things out so we can put our phones on there so that they're not in the way of the cameras. When we do our lives, we can TikTok on that so that they're not out of the way.
Right.
And I'm just excited.
It's very nice in here.
Yeah.
I like the vibe of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Been looking forward to sitting back down since we stopped.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like is my chair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I'm too tall because this is that mesh chair that was in the other room. Mm-hmm. And I know that it sits taller than those.
Yeah.
Tis what it tis. So if you guys wonder why she looks shorter than me or very petite, that's why. Stop it. I tried. Was it right?
No,
at least?
I'm just thinking about the tattoo.
Oh.
Yeah.
I figured. But did I say it right?
Yeah.
Go me. What was Duo? The app?
Duolingo.
Yeah. There you go. I tried to learn French for a week.
No, it was actually longer than that. You were on a streak for 3 months.
Was I?
Yeah.
Wow. And I don't remember any of it other than that. Yeah. Probably because I wasn't actually speaking it. I was just listening to it and reading it.
Yeah, speaking it is a big part of it.
Yeah. So what do we got over there?
An email.
Okay.
Some water because we're staying hydrated.
Right. You had a whole lot of epiphanies and shit earlier. Do you want to talk about any of that, or are you going to keep that to yourself?
Oh my gosh.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot, babe.
No, it's good. There was a lot. So let's start with my little handy dandy, my handy dandy journal. Ooh, so this is a good thought.
Okay.
So when you are in moments of conflict, there's a disruption, you guys are disagreeing, whatever is going on. When you switch your mindset from seeking an apology to seeking accountability, it's going to resolve much quicker.
Okay.
A lot of the time, I'm just going to speak on a women's behalf because I'm a woman. Not all of women, but majority of women who have had trauma and damage and whatnot. When I get triggered and I'm not able to keep my emotional mindset in check, I harp on things and I will repeat myself until I feel understood or heard. And 9 times out of 10, there's really nothing anybody can say to make me feel better. And I recognized it's less about the apology and it's more about the acknowledgement of the accountability that whatever was done hurt me.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Do you think that's going to fall into our 5 apology languages that we're doing?
Yes.
Okay. Because that screamed apology language. I didn't read the
Right.
book. I don't know anything about any of that, but that sounds like show me.
Right.
Shut the fuck up. Show me.
So that was a thought that I had.
Okay.
Another thought, and I made a TikTok about it, was forgiveness versus acceptance.
Is that the one that they pulled from the creator program?
Yes.
Did you win the appeal?
I don't know. I'm still waiting on it.
So stupid.
It really is. And I didn't hashtag it or anything.
I quit hashtagging.
Yeah.
My videos are all pulling 100, 200,000 views again.
Yeah, it already has more views than the one I posted this morning.
I will figure out their algorithm.
I'm just posting at this point. I'm not trying to figure it out. I'm not wanting to know what the sequence is.
I want the YouTube channel to continue to grow.
Yeah, that's my focus.
So in order for that to happen, though, we need to continue doing the TikTok thing, unfortunately.
Yeah.
If we get to the point where we get like YouTube big, like we are on TikTok big, I won't TikTok anymore.
Me either.
I will literally pass my account information off to another person and just pay somebody to monitor my socials. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I honestly don't care about Facebook at all. Instagram is just a backup to TikTok to me at this point, other than like the business shit. So like I don't view either one of those anymore. I get on Facebook out of habit when I'm sitting at my computer. And the only thing I'm getting that's good on TikTok is scripture.
Yeah.
But I can get that on YouTube in full length video, not 3-minute blurbs.
So in the forgiveness versus the acceptance, the TikTok, I was talking about how with forgiveness, you are acknowledging that whatever transgression was had, you no longer hold resentment towards. You're not harboring that anger, the hate, the need for an eye or some type of justice. You've taken it in, you've processed it. It's no longer affecting the quality of your life. That does not mean you're accepting the behavior that somebody did to make you feel that way. So it is 100% okay to say, I forgive you for what you did. It was possibly lack of knowledge, being naive, whatever their excuse is. You can forgive the action. That does not mean you can stay in my life. And you're going to put up that boundary. The acceptance when it comes to forgiveness is when they show true remorse for whatever they did to you and the pain that it caused you. And they are actively taking the action to match their I'm sorries.
Right.
That acceptance plus forgiveness allows a resolution. That was another thought I had.
I'm real big on that show me.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest, people saying, if somebody says to me, damn, I really fucked up. That was on me. I will accept that before I accept an apology.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear you're sorry. I don't, because if you were sorry, I wouldn't have found out through other means.
Right.
If you were sorry, you would have come to me and been like, yo, I really fucked up. This is what happened. I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're owning your shortcomings. You getting caught doing something wrong and then apologizing because you were caught doing something wrong doesn't mean that you're sorry that you did something wrong. You're sorry you got caught.
Right.
I want to see change. Own it. Yeah, I did that. My bad. It won't happen again. This is what I'm going to do to make those changes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then show me, because your words don't mean shit to me.
Right.
Especially if it's something I caught you doing versus you just owning the shit. Yep.
A couple of the comments on that video, a lot of women were saying, I can accept, but I won't forgive. And that made me think, why? Why are you willing to accept somebody's shitty behavior, but not forgive them? In my mind, acceptance means I see that you're doing that and I'm okay with that.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. So that's exactly what that is to me.
So when
Just
you
gonna allow it to happen.
Right. When you have forgiveness without acceptance, that is, I acknowledge that you've done this and it may have been a mistake. Minus the acceptance is putting up that boundary wall and saying, you can go ahead and do that, but it's not going to be in my life.
Right. You know that I'm not going to forgive, but I'm going to accept that people are stating on your TikTok. when somebody does you dirty, and I've said this before, I'm gonna say it again because it's a damn good point. When somebody does you dirty and you get upset about it and you're holding that animosity towards them and you are unable to forgive their actions, the only person that's hurting is you.
Right.
Because the people that did you dirty don't give a shit that you're holding a grudge. They did you dirty. They didn't give a shit about you then. They don't give a shit about you now. So holding on to that animosity and that grudge and that bitterness and that hatred and wishing ill will on them is literally only hurting you. They are not affected by that at all. So why put yourself in a position to agonize over something that literally only you can control?
Right.
I just don't get it.
Me either.
That changed my entire grudge mindset in life. While she's looking for that, guys, if you like the t-shirt, you guys always wonder where we're getting them from. It's relentlessdefender.com. Use the code TOBEBETTER to get a 15% off your order. I'm so glad that these guys agreed to let me work with them.
Yeah.
This was not a them reaching out to me sponsorship. It was a me reaching out to them sponsorship because of the amount of people that were looking for where I got my shirts.
Yeah.
So like, yo.
It's super dope. They were like, yeah.
Yeah. People want to know. You give me a code, I'll tell them.
So this next note I labeled soul soup.
Okay.
So when you think about who you are as a person, your characteristics, your morals, your values, the things that make you you, your soul is going to be your legacy once you're gone. That is what people are going to remember. And when you think about building who you are as a person, it's like making a soup from scratch. What was the face?
I'm just interested to see where this is going.
So you're making a soup from scratch. And if you've never made a soup before, which a lot of people probably haven't, there's going to be a lot of mistakes at first. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to get angry. You're going to feel like nothing you're doing is working because you have to make the perfect soup, right? Like this is going to be the thing people remember you for. You want it to be good. And you're making all these mistakes at first. And then you finally make two combinations. And you're like, well, yo, this kind of works, right? And now you're building a little bit more confidence. Like you're kind of figuring out what you're doing. That is what it's like healing through your trauma. It's going to be one of the hardest things you do. No one has ever shown you how to do it. You're going to figure it out on your own. And every time you add in something new and it works, you're like, fuck yeah, I got this. And by the time you go through that process of learning and making mistakes, and you're going to have to start over the soup. You're going to have to scrap it after 10 days. And you're like, fuck, I shouldn't have added the mint, of course. And looking back, you'd be like, I can see why that didn't work. I had garlic in there. Unless people like that. There's some quirky people out there. What? So you're going to have to scrap the soup. You're going to have to start over from scratch. But you already know the first few steps. So you can get back to day 10 by like day 2. Because you already went through that process.
Yeah. Because you've learned to overcome the obstacles that, right.
Yes, and you're trying new things. And when you try new things and you find new combinations, you're able to go off somewhere else.
Right.
And you're trying things that you would have never tried before because you're trying to perfect your soup. And you're recognizing every time you add in something new and it works, you're one step further into making your soup to what you want it to be. Soul soup.
Okay. Now, being that that's the first time I've heard you say that, and at first I was like, Jesus, how much did you let her smoke today? I'm going to add on to your soul soup theory.
Okay.
If you throw your soup out at day 10, knowing the mistakes you made, and add them back into your soul soup, trying it again, that is you bringing your baggage from your previous relationship to the new one.
I'm talking about good things.
I'm just saying, there's a lesson to be learned in your soul soup. What?
I didn't mean bad soul soup.
There's not bad soul. If there's a bad ingredient,
right?
And you got to throw it and start over, and you're learning all these great things to work through your traumas.
Right.
If you put those bad ingredients back in, it's no different than bringing previous trauma from your relationship.
So revised soul soup. Say we toss in something, you're like, okay, that wasn't the move, but I'm tired of throwing my soup out. Like, I'm exhausted. How can I figure this out? Now you have to find something to cancel it. And when you find that ingredient that kind of like mutes that flavor or it changes it for the better, that's you learning a coping mechanism. Was that good?
Yeah. I feel like I ruined your soul soup.
It's okay. You didn't roll my... You're right. So that person responded, and I said, why accept someone's shitty behavior? If you're not willing to forgive, but you're willing to accept, that doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
And she responded with, because I can't let it go. That's the point of forgiveness.
Right. That is the entire point of forgiveness.
Is to be able to let it go without the acceptance of the behavior. TikTok works. Well, my TikTok about the forgiveness versus acceptance.
It's funny.
Stands its ground. To the email. Oh, did I close it out? I did not. All right, you ready?
I am. All right, guys. So we're back. Yesterday we had a snafu with the emails that we were trying to read. We had a couple of them come through with decent titles, and we read the first paragraph, and they seemed like they were good to go for the pod. So we started reading it, ended up not reading it because there was a whole bunch of nonsense in it that we've asked people numerous times not to email us. And picked a different one, and it was the exact same thing. I don't know what it is with people wanting to tell us about all their child abuse and the abuse of their children and their SA and DV, and we've asked you guys numerous times not to include that in emails, and that seems to be a very overabundance thing that we're getting. So we decided to not record last night, but we had stuff at the beginning of our recording that we wanted to keep. So we are sitting down today as a second part of this to record, so it's going to look different, but the audio and everything should be the same. So with that being said, let's just jump into this.
So this one is titled Realization, Accountability, and Thank Yous. First off, let me say, I have thoroughly enjoyed your podcast thus far. I have started this email on episode 3, and I plan on finishing this email by episode 19, which is what's currently available to listen to on Apple. I want to hear different scenarios and both of your responses before I finish and send this email in. If this email never makes it into the podcast, I'm okay with that. I just wanted to reach out with an I thank you email. I will give some backstory. I'm 39, a USMC combat veteran with 2 combat deployments. Thank you for your service. I'm diagnosed with PTSD and also depression. I have been married twice and know the difference between just lusting and feeling a deeper connection. Both marriages were not healthy, and both I was cheated on. The first one I was young and dumb, 19, married because she got pregnant and thought I was doing the right thing. It was not. That lasted 10 years and gave me 2 amazing kids, 1 boy and 1 girl. Boy is 18, girl is 16 now. Only reason it lasted 10 years was because I was trying to stay for the kids. Yes, Chris, I know, huge mistake. But it's what I thought was right with the fear of her using the kids against me. Fast forward to that divorce, and that's exactly what happened. She was using the kids against me until she finally showed her true self. $25,000 later, I have full custody of my kids and have for the last 6 years. She went off the deep end with drugs and alcohol, but this email isn't about her, it's just a backstory. The second marriage, honestly, I don't think I can tell you why I did that. But that ended after she got pregnant, me thinking 100% it's mine, just to find out after the kid who I thought was my son was 1.5 years old. Was not, in fact, my son. Okay. The punctuation threw me off. I didn't realize that the next sentence correlated.
You guys need to make sure that you're getting DNA tests before you sign birth certificates. Mm-hmm. Birth certificate is a legal document. So if the kid's not yours and you sign that birth certificate, you're claiming ownership of that child.
Right.
You don't sign shit until there's a DNA test.
Mm-hmm. With all this said, between those 2 exes caused me to be the man I was until about 2 weeks ago. I'll explain this in more detail later in the email. Let me say, I understand both of your thoughts on moving in too quick, going too fast, and not building a foundation and general dating before the next steps, but not the purpose of the email. Me and my now girlfriend, 39 as well, met on social media in January of 2020. Right when COVID, the pandemic, was kicking off. Yes, Chris, I feel the same way about it. She was beginning a divorce, and I had just gone through mine at the end of 2019. Between January and March is when everyone thought the pandemic was going to bring the world to an end. Absolutely everything was shutting down, stores were not open, and everyone was panicking. She was being forced out of her house she was living in because the soon-to-be ex-husband told her he was moving in back into it, regardless if she was there or not. Here's a little side note. Chris, I have the same kind of prepper mentality, guns, ammo, food, supplies, etc. Me and my family have been prepping for a long time, so with that said, I had more than enough supplies for her and her 2 kids to move in with me. So it's the 2 of them plus the 16-year-old. And then the 18-year-old if he still lives at home.
Yeah, before you move on, him talking about the pandemic and everything shutting down, when that happened, like when they decided they were getting ready to just shut the country down, I was in Reno.
Yeah, I remember that.
I was doing a solo trip into, I wanted to go see Lake Tahoe, and it was all frozen, so I didn't even get to see the shit. But when I flew out from Reno to come back to Florida, there was like 4 people in the whole fucking airport, and they were all employees. The entire thing, it was like a ghost town in there. I've never seen an airport that empty ever in my life.
Wow.
I've been in airports at 3 o'clock in the morning. There's been thousands of people in there. Nothing. It was fucking wild.
I bet it was eerie.
It was eerie. There's actually photos online. If you go on and like look up Las Vegas during COVID, there's no one. The strip is fucking empty. Like there's no cars. It's crazy the way that the media manipulated us with all of that shit.
Yeah.
I'm glad that it backfired because next time it won't be so easy. But they almost got away with some real fuckery. I mean, they got away with a lot.
Yeah.
But it was almost way worse.
So they moved in. My house is also big enough to support that many people. This was going to be a temporary thing until the pandemic slowed down and she could get her own place and we could continue dating and seeing each other. After several months, I realized not only did I love her and her kids, I was in love with her. I didn't want her to move out. I wanted us to stay together as a family. We discussed it and she agreed and she felt the same way. Everything was going amazing. She's amazing. She cooks like a chef, always keeps my house clean and neat. Has a very explicit sentence about how fantastic she is in the bedroom.
There you go.
And is an absolute bombshell with looks. Definitely way out of my league. Fast forward 7 months, I found out she cheated on me. Not with someone random, not with someone from high school, but instead with her ex-husband. I was absolutely crushed. And how I found out was from her mom. I was so hurt. I had been cheated on by every single person I had a serious relationship or marriage with. I had come to the conclusion that I will never find someone who was 100% faithful to the partner I had given up. But somewhere deep down inside of me, I knew I still loved her and was in love with her. How, I do not know, but I could still feel it. Fast forward to about a month ago, the last several years were some harsh roller coaster loops. She was trying everything she could to show me how sorry she was. She was still cooking me great dinners, serving me my dinner, keeping the house up like always, bed always made, laundry and dishes done. She was trying her hardest, all while carrying on with a full-time job, even with communication. She was still trying to talk to me, but also walk on eggshells. With me, though, I could spend all day at work, hyping myself up, wanting to come home and see her. But as soon as I walked in the door, all of my negative emotions would come flying back in. All of the hyping up to get home to see her was gone. Deep down, below the PTSD and depression, but above the love and in love I had, I wanted her to hurt. I think a lot of people could relate to that.
I think almost everyone who's ever been done dirty relates to that.
Yeah.
You want people to understand how fucking bad you feel.
Yeah.
In reading, because we read this last night. I read it once and then read it out loud to you. But in hearing it again, because it's our 3rd time through, all I'm hung up on is that he literally wasted years of his life with a woman who was fucking trying to make amends.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know how it ends, so I'm not going to get into that. But like,
Right.
he literally was self-sabotaging his relationship.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, paying a debt you don't owe.
I wanted her to feel what she had caused in me. I would become so angry at just the smallest of things. I just wanted her to feel the way I felt. I was not nice and I was not happy. How this woman stayed with me so long, although she caused this, I have no clue. Ooh, I'm processing. At what point do we stop blaming the person and their actions for how we react or feel?
You can't blame somebody's actions. Nobody can make you feel anything.
Right.
You can feel hurt. You can choose to be angry. You can choose to feel whatever you're feeling. Their actions are their actions.
Right.
You can't. Have you ever heard the phrase the heart doesn't feel what the eyes don't see?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, no, I haven't heard it, but that makes sense to me.
Okay.
That's why I said
so,
yes.
So that's just it. That the cheating thing was the action. It didn't hurt you until you realized it was a thing, and then you chose to be hurt. And that's not saying that it's easy to just be like, yeah, okay, it's whatever.
Right.
But there are things that are transgressions that happen to you in your life that you look at as not a big deal and you just let it go. Everybody has different levels of those transgressions that they justify their reaction to, but there's a difference between reacting and responding to a situation. So I don't know. That's a lot though, because and again, third time we're reading this, and I'm all I'm seeing or hearing is that they had the breakdown.
Right.
And she is fucking trying over years to make it right.
And he's just shitting on the efforts.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't judge him for that.
Right.
I understand why he felt the way he felt.
Right. That is what he's doing, though. That's what I'm saying.
But the recognition of her still being there, like he said, I don't know how she stayed. She obviously saw the error in what she was doing, and like
Right. She understood the hurt.
Right.
And why he felt that way.
Yep.
That's the patience and the understanding that comes with forgiveness.
Right. I think there's a level of compassion or empathy that falls into place with all of that too. And if you decide to forgive somebody that cheated, to let them like heal. And it's also, we don't know how early on. Did it say how early on they were together when it happened?
7 months.
So it was within. They weren't even really. I mean, they were serious, but like
Right. It was also her ex-husband.
Right.
I view that differently than a one-night stand.
Why is that?
I could see if it was closure for them, like if that's their defense.
Yeah.
It was a one-time thing. They felt absolutely nothing. They got that closure they needed. Like it's over. This person I spent a lot of time with, I feel absolutely nothing towards.
Right. I understand that. I can actually see that.
Yeah. I would be more inclined to be like, okay, and I can get that. I'm still hurt. You shouldn't have kept that from me or held back. What is it? It's lying by omission. You didn't ask, so I didn't tell you, kind of thing. I would be more inclined to forgive that and actually recognize the efforts because she did put it in,
Yeah. Well, I mean, she has been for years.
Right. I didn't want to do anything with her. I became so numb. She cheated one time and I have given her years of guilt. At first, I would take one step forward, healing, and try to make things better, and then immediately fall back 10 steps. Over the course of the last couple of years, the one day turned to 4 or 5, but when I would fall off the cliff, it would last for a week or even more. She gave me access to everything, even if it had a username and password. I was on it. At first, I was checking everything like a hawk. It was so consuming. Then I realized none of that matters. If she wanted to do something, I couldn't stop her. She would if she wanted to, and she would use anything I didn't have access to.
Yep. Dude, I've said that so many times on these podcasts, and especially when I'm talking about like if you were to cheat, I don't worry about that because I couldn't stop it. There's nothing I can do to prevent that from happening other than being the best version of me for you that I can be.
Right.
Because if you want to do this shit, you're going to. And obsessing over what you might possibly do one day is just going to destroy our marriage. Like there's no reason for that.
Self-sabotage.
It really is. So I'm glad that he worded that way
Yeah.
because that revelation is big for people. Like that means a lot. Like
This guy has definitely gone through a lot of growth.
yeah.
Now insert Chris and Peaches To Be Better podcast. She stumbled across you guys on TikTok sometime, I'm guessing, within the last 2 months. About a month ago, she sent me one of your podcasts. She told me how you two are like us, traditional values and roles, gender responsibilities, the way you feel about the government, etc. You get a kick out of that?
I actually do get a kick out of that because people get so caught up in left and right.
Right.
And I just hate it. I hate all of it. So like I can't align with either one of those parties. And like I'm not dumb enough to just follow suit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anyways.
I get it. She asked me to listen to it, telling me how it was about relationships. I said, okay, but told myself, why in the hell will I listen to a podcast about relationships when she couldn't even be faithful to me? 2 weeks ago, she sends me another one. I do not respond to it, thinking to myself again, I'm not listening to that. With what she did to me. Oh, so the mindset is because she did that to me, I'm not listening to this.
Right.
Okay.
Like, what is she going to teach me about relationships? She's a fucking cheater.
Right.
Right.
A little backstory to the backstory. feel like we're climbing down like different cave.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a fork in the road. Which way are we going to go?
Going down some stairs in a barrel.
Foreshadowing. End of 2022, I started another business. It is the only one I am working, as the other two didn't work out. I am an OTR hotshot truck driver. What is that?
On the road.
On the road, hotshot. What is that like a...
Read the next sentence.
This means I use a 1-ton full-size truck with a flatbed trailer. Why am I like this?
Hey, I was able to catch you this time.
Right.
Because I read this yesterday.
Crazy. This also goes to show when I don't read something, I really don't retain anything.
Yeah.
Because you read this whole email
out
to
loud.
me.
Yeah.
I always wanted to try this business, but the kids were always too young for me to be gone 2 to 3 weeks at a time. Now that they are older and pushing young adulthood, I wanted to give it a try.
What a dope fucking job.
Yeah.
Ooh. Just the thought of like being able to just get in the car and drive around. And it doesn't mean just like drive around, but like you get to like major interstates and like back roads and you get to see the country in a way that a lot of people never will, and you're getting paid to do it. I love that.
One day while on the road, I decided, okay, I'll give this a listen, but I won't tell her I did. By episode 2, I was hooked. By episode 3, my eyes were wide open. Your podcast is exactly what I needed. I have chills.
And they're multiplying.
Oh my God. Oh, okay, wait.
What were you, oh my God, over there?
Because I was like, my mind went to a different song and I was like, no, that's not right. This isn't a mashup. Because it's, I've got chills, they're multiplying.
Yeah.
And my mind went, I'm about to lose control. And I was like, no. That's not accurate. And
That's funny. You should have just went with it.
yeah.
Because there's people out there that don't know that song, either one of them. And they would just be like, oh, that makes sense.
Okay. Your podcast is exactly what I needed. It is what I needed. It is what I needed to realize I needed to take accountability. She had been showing me since the day I found out it happened how sorry she was, how hard she was trying to earn my trust back, how desperately she was trying to show me that she messed up and she would do anything for me to forgive her and move forward. It wasn't until 2 weeks ago, listening to you two, that I realized I needed to take accountability within myself, and if I wanted this, I needed to show it. I had told her after a while, after it happened that I forgave her. I realize now it was just words with no meaning. While staring out the windshield, driving down some interstate, listening to you guys 800 miles away from home in another state, I forgave her. I can't imagine what that was like.
I would imagine that it would feel like somebody in full tack having all of their ammo, all of their weapons taken off, and then their armor plate taken off, and being able to just go. That's what I imagine when I read that. Like, there's no weight on my shoulders. There's nothing squeezing my chest anymore. I can just breathe. I would imagine that it's a lot like a woman taking her bra off at the end of the day. You have that moment where you're just like, scratch.
I do this thing when I think of people living their lives. Like, I know what it's like to live life through my eyes.
Right.
So when I hear something like this, I try to put myself in somebody's position about what they're looking at, what they're hearing, what they're experiencing in that moment. This man is driving this massive 1-ton truck down the interstate. It probably wasn't nighttime, but I'm envisioning it's nighttime.
Yeah.
Maybe a slight rain.
You're just creating a whole scenario.
I am. And he's sitting there listening to us talk. He's already had these massive moments of realization, like, okay, I really need to hear what they're saying. And he's probably been processing shit hard for the last 2 to 3 days.
That reflection.
And he's sitting there staring at a road, no distractions, listening to us in the background. And in his mind, he goes, I forgive my wife. And I imagine that's a very emotional moment for him, because he's been this, fuck you, you hurt me, why would I ever trust anything you have to tell me again? And he was like, okay, I mean, not his wife, his girlfriend. I don't know if they're married now.
Yeah.
But he just he saved his relationship.
Yeah.
800 miles from home, driving down some interstate. That's good for him. It's too much. I'm so emotional, but I'm emotional in a way I've never felt before because I don't want to cry.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it in my chest. Like, if he never listened to our podcast, they would have either went off in the direction of having a miserable relationship and their kids growing up and seeing that, or ending.
Yeah.
And taking apart this blended family. And he just skirted into some mystery track, some secret track with other knickknacks that you can pick up that nobody else knows about because you've been playing the game for so long. And he's like, nah, I found a new way.
Yeah.
He just altered everything, all the trajectories in their life. He skirted it.
If he hit his brakes, he would have actually skirted it.
Yeah.
Skirt!
I'm imagining a massive 1-ton truck drifting.
With a flatbed on the back of it?
I'm sure that's not a thing.
I don't know. People do some wild shit with their vehicles.
Unless. From the deepest part of my heart, I forgave her. Right then, I needed to go home. That weekend, I needed to come home, hug her, hold her, and look into her eyes and tell her that I loved her. Thanks to you guys, I realized what needed to be done. I am now focusing on 10 steps forward and only 1 step back. I needed to be better, pun intended. I'm creating another scenario in my mind. He gets home. Like, they probably had conversations while he's out on the road, and he was like, holy shit, babe. Like, I love you. Everything's going to be okay. Like, it's working. And then he gets home and they have that first embrace of everything's going to be okay. And he finally recognizes that she is the woman that he's in love with. And even though that's happened, it's something they've gotten over.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine the relief she's feeling.
In my scenario, they didn't have the phone call.
No.
Nope. In my scenario, he just went home.
I hope he did.
Yep. I think that realization and having that genuine face-to-face conversation afterwards probably would have been like way more impactful. Yeah. Although I don't think realistically, I don't think it would matter if it was a phone call or not.
Yeah.
But the movie director in my brain is like, he fucking hit the brakes, made a U-turn, and just drove home processing everything, and then had the moment with his woman.
I wore the worst eyeliner for this. It's making my eyes sting. I love this for them.
Yeah, me too.
I just want people to be happy.
Yep.
For Chris, you're super harsh, sometimes too harsh. A lot of people are listening to your podcast. Oh, it's really stinging. Oh, God.
Do we need to take a break?
No, I just gotta dab it. A lot of people are listening to your podcast, are there to learn how to communicate better, and sometimes you come off as if we should already know everything. That is literally what it looks like when a man bites his tongue.
Yeah, that's exactly what that looked like. I corresponded with him. I'm
Right.
waiting until we're done, and I'm going to explain why that is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Remember, a lot of us guys have backgrounds with nasty females who cause us to become shut down, reserved, and non-communicative. Before you do your typical wait response to respond, hear me out.
But wait, there's more.
Guys like me need to hear the way you come across. Guys like me who are extremely set in our ways, have been for many, many years, and had many, many years of always being shut down, harped at, lied to, and cheated on. We get to the point where communication is a thing of the past. It has taken your podcast to make me realize I am in fact part of the problem in my current relationship, and I am working hard to correct my ways. Episode 19, you, Chris, said you have given up on stopping cursing. You feel that you're reaching an audience you wouldn't have if you were clean cut. I am one of those people. If you were not the way you are, I most likely wouldn't have listened. I don't use a bunch of cuss words in email, but believe me, the F word is my favorite. For that, I say thank you. Thank you for being the one to come across the way I needed it to better understand. Peaches, you made a statement about a staircase to get out of the barrel. I think it was episode 19, but it could have been 18. I don't remember. I listened to 2.5 episodes a day while driving. This man's listening to like 7 hours of our podcast.
Yep. And if he's got YouTube Premium, he can listen to the rest of the shit on YouTube because there's so much more content on YouTube.
Yeah.
I am backloading episodes of the sideshow on Wednesdays onto the podcast now, though.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So people who listen on Apple or Spotify will actually still they'll get a Wednesday drop now, too, but it's all backload old shit that, is just recycled.
I have now started that climb. The light at the top of the barrel was so dim I couldn't see anything. It was nothing but darkness all around me. Thanks to you two, I have started the climb out of the barrel. The light from the top has taken away a lot of the darkness, and I can see those stairs leading out plain as day now. The climb to the top still has a bunch of floors left to climb, but that doesn't matter because I have started the climb. I will continue to make that climb for us, for what I want, for what we need, for what I do not want to lose. I can't. I have so much in my mind. Okay, so he said, for what I do not want to lose. If he did not have a woman who was so dedicated and loyal and understanding and patient to, like he said, put up with everything for the last few years, he might have never learned this lesson.
Right.
And then he would have learned it with somebody else and maybe had regret about holding that grudge for so long, you know? It is really important to, once you decide, when you tell somebody I forgive you, you have to mean it. This man went through years of just holding on to hatred and going, I can't trust you. And now he recognizes that this is something that he never wants to lose.
Yep.
Crazy. With all that is said above, the real reason for this email is to say thank you. Thank you for being you. Thank you for telling it like it is. Thank you guys for making me open my eyes and see the real meaning. If it wasn't for two random chatted up, cuss like a sailor, tell you how it is, and fuck you if you don't like it people in Florida making random TikToks about relationships, I would still be down in the bottom of a very dark barrel that I was in. I had built up an emotional wall so high she would have never been able to get high enough to even peek over it. And it was built so high that even I couldn't see over it. 2 pieces of that wall were built and signed by the names Chris and Peaches. It took your 2 pieces of the wall to be pulled out, and the whole wall is now crumbling down to the ground since I've been listening to your podcast. Our communication is through the roof. Our emotional and physical connection is skyrocketing again. My accountability is becoming tenfold, and things are looking up. Now, Chris, hand Peaches a tissue to wipe the tears from her eyes since she's a bit of a crier. It's okay, I got lantern sleeves this time. P.S. I'm going to attach a picture so you guys can put faces to the context above. Also, just a side request. Oh, and that's about the microphones.
Yeah. So before you move on to the follow-up email that I had with him, it's important to know in all of this that he could have left.
He could have.
So there is a part of her, I'm sure, that had hope that life was going to go back to the way that it was, because he hasn't yet. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Those kind of things happen. If people are going to leave, they usually do. So I'm sure she had hope that eventually he was going to get over his shit and they would be back to the way they were. So him not leaving was an act of service for her, and that there was enough hope there, enough light on her end to know that there is a possibility of coming out of this darkness.
Right.
Because he hadn't processed his shit yet and like gotten over what he needed to get over. He was still living in that darkness. Yeah. So her holding on that entire time, there was hope there. And I really think that it comes down from him not leaving when he found out what he found out.
Yeah. The biggest takeaway I get from that is when something bothers you, just don't say it is what it is.
Yeah. No, do the fucking work.
This
man.
is my life, I guess. It hurts, so I don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
You have to. Working through anything that you go through that has a negative impact in your life will never be resolved until you put the work into it.
Right.
So we did a follow-up because in the first email, he said that you were too harsh at times.
And then thanked me for it, which
Right.
kind of confused me.
I was also confused because it sounded like a critique.
Yep.
And then it turned into, but we need it. When I say you came across, when I say you come across harsh, it is the way you come across with your responses to some of the emails you bring up in the podcast. The way you deliver responses are very sharp and aggressive at times, but that's exactly the way I personally needed to hear it. Because it keeps me engaged in actually listening to the words you're saying and not just letting you play in the background like white noise while I'm driving. It helps me focus on your words and it makes me think about and analyze what you're saying and how I can use it moving forward in my relationship. There are a lot of times I used a 15-second back button so I can re-listen to what was just said again.
I do that a lot when I listen to podcasts.
Me too.
Especially when I'm listening to sermons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Was
really
that the end of
enjoyed
it?
that, yeah.
So let me be clear about a couple things. First and foremost, this is actually just who I am. I'm a very no bullshit, straight to the point kind of person. I'm not always a dick, but I don't beat around the bush. If I've got something to say that I feel people need to hear, I'm going to hear it. Secondly, we've said since the beginning of this that those who need to hear the message will hear the message because it needs to be said in a way that they're going to get it. You know what I mean? As for the being overly aggressive and harsh at times, there's enough people in the world that are trying to coddle everyone and give people safe spaces. And I don't believe that's going to, there's enough of that. There, if you need that, there are people out there who can give you that.
Right.
I'm not. And I do believe that a lot of this shit should be common knowledge. I know that it's not. I know it's not. It's like giving aftercare for a tattoo. I've done it so much over the last 20 years that it's ingrained in me. When people don't know how to take care of a tattoo, it blows my mind. But I've repeated it over and over and over again for 20 years.
Right.
So it's not like it's common knowledge to me. It's on repeat in my brain constantly. But for somebody getting their first tattoo, they have no idea.
Right.
And when I'm doing first tattoos, I have to remember that and I have to slow down my aftercare. And like I have to tell myself like this is new for them. When we do these emails and we do this over and over again, we're 5 months in and we're on we're about to do 22. Knowing that we have said a lot of this over and over and over again, I get aggravated because we've already had a lot of these discussions. The problem is people come from TikTok, not watching the actual podcast. They see a 1-minute clip, feel like we can help them, and they send us an email versus going and digging and like really diving in like he did.
Right.
He dove into the content and fixed his fucking relationship versus sending us an email going, hey, I don't really want to type out my email, but I got a lot. Can you call me? And putting their fucking phone number in an email. Like, I'm going to call you, bro. Like, so there is that expectation. I do hold men to a very high standard. I believe that we should be leaders and that we should be providers and protectors. And like the way this man was before he found out that she cheated. And I also understand that heartbreak is a very hard thing to overcome, but I don't know. I guess the biggest thing for me is, and we pray about this a lot, is to give me compassion when we sit down because people do really stupid shit. And it takes a lot for me not to be like, hey, you're fucking dumb.
Right.
Because of what you just did or what you said. And I know that's not the right thing. People are reaching out because they need help. So I have to remind myself that like they've not gone through what I've gone through in life and they've not read the books that I've read. They're looking for an answer. So I have to dial that back. But there are some things when it comes to men that's just unforgivable to me. Like men who don't protect or won't provide, don't want to work, like don't want to fucking be a part of their kids' lives. Like those things really get to me on a personal level. And I can't let that ride.
It's because they know what's wrong.
Yeah. Yep.
Of course, there's gray areas when it comes to certain situations or certain scenarios. There's different factors and variants. Generally, you can tell when something is a good thing or when something is a bad thing. You know when you're being a piece of shit human being.
Yep.
Don't email us and ask for validation that that's not what's happening because you can't face who you are as a person.
Right. Yep. We got an email last night from somebody that asked, it might have been this morning, that laid out the abuse that's happening in their relationship, and then asked at the end, am I being abused? Like full detail of the abuse that's happening in their relationship, and then asked us that shit.
Wow.
Yeah. After all the times that we've said we're not going to read those emails, we're not doing SADV, child abuse, or anything like that, and we're not going to call you. We get at least one email a day, somebody asking us to call, and 4 or 5 every single day with all that shit loaded in the fucking emails. That's why we stopped recording last night, because we got to a point where there was like 3 paragraphs of a child being abused. Like, we're not doing that for you guys, which again adds into why I get so sharp, because these podcasts sound like just one cohesive recording, when in reality, you're listening to a 2-hour recording that could have taken 5 hours to record, because we've gotten halfway through emails and had to stop and delete it. So I don't always just have a clear mind. Sometimes I sit down and I'm fucking just ready to rock, because I'm so aggravated with everything that's going on. And there's other days that I'm just, life is good and let's help somebody. And, It really just depends on which version of me you get in the moment, I guess. I'm glad that my assertiveness helped. I'm willing to bet that assertiveness or that aggressive tone is going to speak a lot more to military personnel than it does to the kids who need a safe space to cry.
Right.
But you go to another one, because we had other emails.
I thought we were just recording that one.
There was one more. Let me see if I can find it.
So next email is good vibes. Hello, beautiful souls. One day in March of 2023, I was in the universe of TikTok and stumbled across you two sitting so comfortably in your chairs while filming a podcast. Peaches was the one to first pique my interest. Her glasses specifically are what caused me to take a few seconds longer on the video. I wonder what it was about my glasses.
Probably the chains. Everybody digs the chains.
Then I was waiting for the camera to turn back to her. I started listening and realized you two were a couple. Now I was on to my second interest, a couple with an age difference, and I instantly relate because I'm 28 and my boyfriend is 41. I don't even know if y'all read emails anymore. I'm only on episode 9 on the podcast, so this may even be a waste of time for me. But y'all touch my soul, so I at least have to try and hear y'all's feedback on my little progression in life. A little backstory, story time, and then I get to praise you guys. It was my brother and I that grew up in a household where yelling all night back and forth between 2 drunk people was love. They chose alcohol over their kids, so we were the kids that got anything we wanted. They chose alcohol over their kids, so we were the kids that got anything we wanted. That doesn't make sense to me.
They probably had money and spoiled them because they were drunk all the time.
Okay. We weren't ever rich.
Well, I was wrong on that one.
But they made enough money comfortably, so me and my brother had mini gaming consoles to keep us occupied most of our lives.
Right. There you go.
Oh, so it was a way to keep them away from them so they can get drunk. How shitty. My dad was the cocky, narcissistic a-hole, and my mother was the one that ran the house, essentially, but was loud, impatient, angry, and just horrible. Dad paid for all the bills, but Mom is the one who handled all the bills. Then Dad was the one who did the outside stuff. They did the gender role hard growing up. I learned to hate it because I would have the chores of cleaning inside all day while my brother just had to take out the trash and continue gaming. My brother was crowned for being the only boy in the family, and Mother favored him hard. I know most siblings say this, but I'm pretty sure she won the prize for spoiling her only son. I always thought I lived with devils because there was never any love or affection growing up, and we weren't allowed to cry or be mad. We never talked about how we felt. We just had to exist without causing too much noise, basically. Growing up, my brother hated me because I was always too fat to hang out with. It's really crazy seeing kids growing up in dysfunctional households and how they match their parents' energy so they become angry and spiteful and nasty and seek to hurt feelings because that's what's happening. And then children that grow up in healthier homes where communication is encouraged don't understand the point of saying hurtful things to someone just to hurt them.
Right.
He would always hurt me, physically or emotionally, which made me cry a lot, and I never had anyone to turn to. I tried a few times to tell mother or father, but in the end, I was always being a tattletale or dramatic. In a shorter version, I felt utterly alone my entire life as a kid. I went to a very small school, and even with the small selection of kids to be friends with, I hated everyone. I was always bullied, and I never trusted anyone. I'm not going to get into the essay I received from random humans throughout my childhood.
I'm glad, because we've asked people not to do that over and over and over again.
I honestly don't even want to know what happened.
Yeah, I don't either.
It's irrelevant.
Right. How are we going to change that or help you with that in any way? We're not therapists.
Right.
Like,
I understand this is an appreciation email and a thank you. This happens a lot.
yeah.
I was reading through an email. We actually read it on the podcast where she said, I'm not going to get into the details of my childhood essay, but he did everything he could think of to me. I don't need to know that. That is a leading sentence to lead my thoughts elsewhere, and I don't need that. It is unnecessary information. It is not going to change this in any way. I understand that that is a very traumatic thing and is something that alters the way the brain thinks. And I am sympathetic towards it. And I hate that it's a thing and I hate that it happens to people. It does not have to be included in the background stories.
Right.
You can say I have childhood trauma and we get it. With that being said, I have always believed that I am cursed when it comes to my dating life. Joking, not joking. I legit have not dated anyone in the past 10 months since I was a teenager. And whenever I do date, I somehow would end up choosing a narcissist.
I fucking hate that word, and she's used it twice in this email.
I know.
Everyone on the planet is a narcissist. If you're on episode 9, you're going to get to the point where you get to hear that over and over and over again, and you're going to get to hear it when you hear your email. Stop using that word.
Yeah.
Either way, do yourself a favor and read.
Right.
Because that term is so fucking overused because of the internet, just to like demonize somebody.
Right.
When you yourself are in fact a narcissist. Everyone on the planet is a fucking narcissist.
There's extreme narcissism.
Right. And it's diagnosed.
It is diagnosed. That extreme narcissism is the one that leaches out, and
Right.
when the manipulation tactics and whatnot are there. My pant legs are very poofy, and I was just sitting on them, and I went to go move, and it was like a giant blanket stuck under my knees.
Also, what does it say about your choice in men if you just keep finding narcissists?
Yeah.
If you always do what you've always done, you always get what you always got. Find all those men you friend zoned and start dating one of them.
Well, she has a boyfriend now,
Well,
and hopefully everything's going great.
hopefully it's lasted more than 10 months.
I hope so. I would somehow end up choosing a narcissist. I have always gotten crap from anyone that knows me because anytime I get a boyfriend, their first few responses are, let's see how long he lasts, or I won't get my hopes up because you will leave him, or give it time, you'll find something to leave him over.
Sounds to me like you got a bunch of shitty people in your life.
Yes, because that is not the way you approach that conversation.
Nope.
I would also say people's criticism about you is kind of someone holding a mirror up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you are somebody who is known to jump from relationship to relationship, and the smallest thing triggers you and you're like, I'm over all of this, I'm going to leave him, maybe you should reevaluate your mental state a little bit.
Agreed.
Because even though they are being super shitty about it, there is a root.
No, yeah, they're being honest.
Yeah.
But don't you think that it would be better to try to like sit down and talk to them about it instead of just calling them on their shit? And then,
Right.
because, truth without love is cruelty.
Yeah.
So,
If someone ever hit me with, give it time, you'll find something to leave him over, I'd be like, why would you say that?
right.
And they can give me some other shitty answer. Be like, no, seriously, that is how you view me. What am I doing for you to have that perception of me?
Right.
It needs to be explored. You can't just get into your feels and be like, damn, they're kind of shitting on me.
Right.
I confront people. I want to know why you're thinking it, what your thought process is behind it, so I can understand it.
Yeah.
And if there's something about me that I can change and it's growth worthy and you're going to keep that from me, that's a problem. Every time I still try hard to not live up to those comments, but reality puts me in check and I do end up leaving. But I promise it's because I refuse to ever be in a relationship like my parents.
So wait, you think that you're just going to find someone, everything's going to be perfect and you're not going to ever have to do any work?
I don't know.
Because that's not how that fucking works.
Is that what you gained from that? Like that's the
From what she
understanding you
just
got
said?
from that?
Yeah. She's afraid that she's going to end up in a shitty relationship where there's going to be conflict and she's going to be treated poorly. So the moment something starts going the way that she doesn't like it going, instead of working through it, she just jumps ship.
Yeah.
It sounds like there's a whole lot of commitment issues there. And there's a difference between having self-worth and fucking running from every opportunity to grow. Because you're never going to grow.
Yeah. When things get a little bit hard and they get a little bit scary.
Yep.
Outside of abusive situations.
Right.
Just in typical dating, if this person is not an extreme narcissist, I have to say all this shit.
You don't. The only reason why we say that is because of the comment section. And I don't care about the comment section anymore. So we don't need the disclaimers.
Right.
There's one at the beginning of the video now. Remember we made that disclaimer?
Yes.
So moving forward, we don't have to do that. It's at the very beginning of the video.
I don't even remember where I was going with that. I want better for the rest of my life. If some man can't be a decent human being, I refuse to stay with them.
What makes you think that you deserve that?
Are you a decent human being?
Right. Have you done any work on yourself to make yourself better, to find a better person? If all you're finding is narcissists, what are you doing to fix that?
What have you done to heal from your childhood?
Right.
To not bring those emotional triggers and traumas and reactions into the next relationship.
Yep.
Because if you don't heal that, you will 100% fuck somebody up. And at that point, are you the decent human being in doing that? No, you're not. So what you are looking for, you should be putting out. And if you're not putting that out, you're going to attract what you give.
Yep.
I don't believe in wasting time. It's too short and too precious to be given to ungrateful humans. I have never been in an abusive relationship, but I have been in plenty of verbally abusive relationships. So you've been in an abusive relationship?
Yeah. Yeah, abuse is abuse.
Abuse is abuse.
You know, I'm one of those people that really agree with that don't waste your time shit.
Yeah.
But I also understand that you don't run from every small problem. Mm-hmm. Some things are just little obstacles that you have to learn to get over.
Right.
Some of them are obviously really bad. If somebody's verbally abusing you, that's a problem. But if like you're not getting text messages fast enough, or if you're not getting good morning beautiful text, or you perceive something to be wrong and instead of addressing it, you're just like, this isn't working for me, I'm out. That's a problem.
It is.
Verbiage matters. Verbiage really matters. Mm-hmm. And the way that some of this is reading makes it sound like she's like, as soon as there's any type of resistance, I'm fucking gone.
Yeah. If you continue to run from obstacles in your life, you will never grow as a human being and you're going to be stagnant.
Yeah.
You're going to plateau and you're going to continue to experience everything that you're running away from.
Yep.
Because you're not learning how to overcome it. I'm really hung up on, I have never been in an abusive relationship, but I have been in plenty of verbally abusive relationships.
Yeah. That
That is downplaying what verbal abuse is.
Yeah. I think that she probably should have wrote physical abuse and verbal abuse, but to say you've never been in an abusive relationship in your very next statement is, but I've been in plenty of verbal abusive, like you literally just own that.
So I want to clarify, verbal abuse is abuse.
Yep.
It may not be physical abuse, but that is still a situation you should not be in. Any type of abuse happening is not minimal. One is not worse than the other. Everybody who goes through abuse has their valid emotions, and I think you should leave that situation as soon as possible. I have always dated older men, but my boyfriend then was the first to be this much older. We dated for about 6 months, and in those 6 months, though I promised on life, this was the one for me, I don't think you can decide if the person's the one for you in that under 2-year mark.
Yeah, no, you can't. No, you
that
absolutely cannot.
That is the idea of relationships, the idea of the person.
You're test driving that motherfucker still.
Yeah. He was the first to make me feel safe and comfortable. He listened to anything I had to say. He was always welcoming and ready to do anything with me. But of course, I found faults in him and instantly pushed him away. Everybody has faults. Mm-hmm. there is not a single human being on this planet who is perfect, including you, the person who wrote this email. How would you feel if you were with somebody and you were doing everything you could to be the best version of who you are, and you slip up and the person goes, I saw that.
I'm out.
See ya. No understanding, no exploring on how to maybe resolve it. No question of, I noticed you do this. Is that like a thing from your childhood? What's going on? There's no conversation, no communication. You're really just dipping, and that's kind of shitty.
Yeah, you have to give your partners grace.
Looking back now, I was very depressed, still not recovered from past relationship trauma, verbal abuse, not ready for a relationship, always drinking and causing arguments over nothing.
So you did become your parents.
Right.
I'm glad that there's accountability there. I'm not taking away from that. I fucking love the accountability.
But the thing that she was trying to avoid to do, she became.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why I don't drink the way I used to drink.
Me either. I am absolutely horrified.
You know what I've noticed?
What?
The way I listen to these emails have changed over the last 3 weeks.
Why do you say
4 weeks? Because I'm picking up things. You remember that episode where while editing, I was like, oh my word. And I pulled the headphones out. I was like, listen to this. And then I paused it and you're like, how did we miss that? Do you remember? It's twice that I've hit that thing. Do you remember what that was?
I don't remember the clip, no, but I remember you saying that.
And I even put it in text on the video. Like, I can't believe we missed this when we recorded.
Oh, it was, It was super pertinent information.
Yeah, it was huge. And we both just skimmed right over it. And I think that's why I'm listening to these emails differently now, because I'm actually listening to the undertones of what's being said. And I'm not just listening for the communication or the actual relationship issue.
Right.
And I think that's why the last two podcasts that we've recorded, 20 and 21, came across the way they did.
We're more tuning into the psychology of the person.
Right. Well, and I don't want to miss that again, because that was really big.
It was.
Yeah. We're growing along with the podcast, apparently.
Acknowledging that you're not ready for a relationship is huge.
And it's okay.
It is okay. Although he never asked me to stop drinking back then, I would still drink secretly, knowing we would probably end up in an argument over nothing because I loved feeling drunk. I get that. When I was deep into my drinking, yeah, I get it. Even though I never realized how bad I actually was, he still loved me and was always trying to pull me out of my depression. This is essentially what pushed me away from him, because at the end of the day, you're the only one that is going to get you out of depression.
Yep.
So you just said, I found faults in him and instantly pushed him away. And this man is trying to pull you out of your depression. And this is essentially what pushed me away from him. Because at the end of the day, you're the only one who can get you out of your depression. So from the two things you just said, my conclusion of that is you saw that he was trying to help you get out of your toxic cycle. And you're like, no, I don't want this. And that was a red flag to you.
Yep. That's what it sounds like. And it was because she wanted to continue drinking.
This man, out of the kindness of his heart, sees that you're struggling, and even though you're being abusive towards him, is like, I need to help her. And you viewed that as a flaw and you left him. He's going to be so standoffish at helping another human being. Did that make sense?
It did.
So he became the too nice guy in the end, when in reality, I was not used to a healthy relationship. Healthy is scary and uncomfortable, and now I know this. So when we ended, my depression was awful, and I was tired of waking up and wanting to die. Mind you, I only have 3 friends in life. I still hate people, and I am still a very big loner.
Sounds to me like you're just a miserable person. I don't care if that's a shitty thing to say. You sound just that you like to wallow in your own misery.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of victim mentality here. And you are the author of your own life. You get to dictate the outcome of everything that happens to you. It comes down to your perception and your attitude on things.
I hope this gets better.
This email was supposed to be a positive thing.
Yeah.
And we're just fucking ripping her email apart. And I feel kind of bad about it, but there's a whole lot of things in there that she needs to work on, and I'm not just going to let that ride.
And these are also things that other people think and feel.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So when I see something and I catch it, I'm going to speak on it. And if it hurts your feelings, I do apologize. Like you said, I'm just not going to let things go to preserve feelings when it could legit help either this person or somebody else.
You guys who have depression issues, stop fucking drinking.
Yeah.
Alcohol is a depressant. And if you take Advil or any type of NSAIDs the next day for a hangover, your depression increases way up, like 42% if you're taking ibuprofen a day after an alcohol, after if you have a hangover. That kind of shit in your stomach on a regular basis is not good for your mental health. Like you are making yourself worse by doing that.
I hate parties, bars, crowds in general.
Me too.
Me fucking too. But as you may know, depression is hard when you're alone. You may ask, well, why not turn to your friends? Unless I'm drunk, I hate talking about how I feel. Why? Is it because the alcohol numbs you and you don't actually have to feel what you're feeling? You're just talking about it to share the experience with somebody?
Yeah. Because you're not actually working through your shit.
Right.
You're just talking about it.
You're just telling a story.
Right.
People who drink to get out of their pain and their misery and think that they're working through your shit, you're not.
No, you're not. You're masking it. It's escapism.
It is. You're getting drunk. You can think about that thought because you're inhibited, but you're not processing it. You're not really working through what happened to you. Like I said, you're just telling a story. And the next day, when you're really feeling it and you're sober and you're in the logical mindset and want to start, your logical mind's like, we need to work through this. You're like, no, it hurts too much. Let's wait until I'm drunk.
Yep.
It's crazy. I just hate feeling like I'm a burden by talking about my emotions to someone. So I finally got on antidepressants that I avoided for so long because my mother was always on some pill and I feared of becoming her.
But not enough to not become an alcoholic. Do you hear how hypocritical that sounds?
Yeah.
I'm not willing to get help. I'm going to mask and self-medicate with the same thing that was the biggest part of my childhood that was a problem for my life.
Yeah. There's definitely a disconnect.
Oh, yeah.
In that thought process.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. You know that people that grow up like that, one of two things happen. You either see that and go, I really don't fucking want to live like this, and you go the exact opposite, or you follow in those footsteps. There's never an in-between. Like, it's one extreme or the other.
Yeah. I was following those footsteps hard.
Yeah.
And I woke up one day and it was 9 a.m. and I was already drunk. And I was like, I can't keep doing this. And now I drink maybe once or twice a month.
Yeah.
Whenever we go to dinner or we go to the movies, I get a drink.
I had one drink in 13 months.
Yeah.
And it was at a movie theater.
I don't even think you finished it.
I didn't. It was gross.
Yeah.
Which sucks because it was expensive. It was probably the most expensive old fashioned I've ever had. I don't even like old fashions. It just I didn't want straight whiskey that night.
Yeah. The first was Lexapro, which I freaking loved because it made me not overthink about anything, but also made me very numb. Which I loved, but apparently humans aren't supposed to feel numb. That's dumb. I ended up switching to Wellbutrin, which was fine, but antidepressants give me terrible acne, so eventually I got off of them completely after a year. Being on antidepressants opened my mind, though. I didn't realize how bad I was because depression can fog your brain. One day, I just wanted to be a better human. In December of 2021, I decided I was going to change myself for the better. I was going to start meal prepping for the high-protein lifestyle and start working out.
Okay. I like where this is going.
Me too. This is a massive turnaround, and I'm here for it. I also had to cut back on alcohol. So in the year of 2022, I did everything I said I would. I lost 45 pounds in the process and wasn't getting drunk 3 to 4 nights out of the week. I think I may have gotten drunk 4 times in the entire year of 2022, which is a huge accomplishment for me. Turns out alcohol was causing a lot of my life problems.
Imagine that.
Who would have guessed? She went from being drunk, I would probably say 7 days a week.
I would call her a sloppy mess of a human being to fixing her fucking shit.
She lost weight. She stopped drinking. I'm excited now.
Yeah, I am too.
Like, where are we going?
Yeah.
I want to get there.
I wonder how many times she's been drunk this year.
I don't know.
I'm not somebody that hates alcohol.
Right.
I'm not. I just don't like that people can't control themselves when they abuse it.
Right.
Anything in excess is a problem.
Yes. So in January 2023 rolled around, I didn't know why, but I felt pulled to text the older guy up. Oh my God, is this the one who like tried to help you and you ran?
Yep.
Okay. I just felt a sudden urge to apologize for how our relationship turned out. Yeah, 2 years later, I sent a text. We met up. I apologized for him getting the darkest side of me back then, and we have been seeing each other ever since.
Okay, so let me pause you because there's a couple of things here, right?
Okay.
He still had the same phone number 2 years later. I know that people don't keep phone numbers like that anymore.
Right.
It's very easy to just go, okay, I'm sick of my phone going off. I'm going to change my phone number and just give it to a couple people, and that's the end of it. I've had the same phone number for 22 years. Since I moved down here, I've had the same phone line.
Right.
So I guess it might be 23 years. Anyways, he had the same phone number. He was single, and she did all the work on herself to make her a better person to get the man that she feels like she deserves.
Right person, wrong time.
Right. That's it. They could be the best person on the planet and just not be right for you because you haven't done the fucking work yet. We say that shit all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Do the work, be the best version of you so that when you find the person that you deserve, you can be the person that you need to be for them.
And you know, if she didn't work through her shit and have the confidence she does
Yeah.
and never reached out to him, this would have never been a thing.
Or the personal development to be like, you know what? I really fucking owe him an apology.
Right.
Yeah.
And I bet that was a massive moment for him.
I'm sure it was.
He probably couldn't have been, what the fuck does she want?
Yeah. Or, oh my God, how have you been? I haven't heard from
Right.
you in forever.
And then you hit him with, I'm sorry that you got the worst part of me.
Yep.
I've been like, okay, well, I'm here now. What you up to? It is now May. We have both changed since 2 years ago, but he still is everything great. He is old school on a lot of stuff, which has always organically mixed with my personality perfectly because of my old soul trait. He now gets the healed version of me, and even he has said he noticed the difference in how vulnerable I have become towards him. Okay, so you guys have been together since January.
Yep. Don't fuck this up.
We're going into April. We are going into May.
Yep.
Yes. There are going to be many, many bumps on this road together. Do not fucking run away from this man. Do you hear me? He put up with it the first time. Yeah. You reached out to him and he was like, okay, what you up to, girl? And now you guys got something going on. He's here. He's accepted the apology. When things get hard, don't get scared.
Yeah. Work through that shit. Continue to grow.
Yes, continue to grow together. Do your own journey and involve him in it and just be like, I realized this today and it has changed my perspective on everything and I think it's super dope and I want you to be a part of it.
Yeah.
You guys have helped me in just a short amount of time that I have listened to you. As I said before, I am terrible with talking about how I'm feeling. I ball up everything because I don't ever feel worthy enough to be heard. That or I am scared it turns into a fight. But Peaches has said it best. We have to separate from what we went through from what is in front of us. I've had to step back and remind myself that my man is not one of the POS ex-boyfriends I've had. He is his own person. I need to stop comparing him to my past experiences and open up to him. Even though I was super uncomfortable with talking about certain things, I pushed through and talked and he listened.
You know that at one point you were the POS X to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not innocent in all of this. Mm-hmm. Take the accountability and know that you were flawed as a motherfucker, just like everyone you dated was.
I would have said I've had to take a step back and remind myself that I am no longer that piece of shit human being that he experienced before.
Yep.
Yeah. He didn't blame, he didn't raise his voice, and we simply conversed about my problem and we solved it.
It's crazy how that works.
Mm-hmm. This has happened multiple times now, and it's because of y'all that let me feel comfortable enough to be vulnerable with him. On another instance, Chris said something along the lines of, if you feel like running to your friend to talk about your relationship to another person, That is the best time to talk to your partner, not your friend.
Yep, it's a giant fucking sign that it's time to sit down to your person. Absolutely.
And I did just that. Even though I was angry with him, and we had already talked about it earlier, I sent him a text to call me when he had time and told him how I felt, and again he listened, didn't yell, didn't hang up. He just simply conversed with me and the problem was fixed. You guys have made me feel less alone in the world. Peaches, you're an amazing woman, and we have a lot of the same personality traits. Thank you for being you, regardless of what life has thrown at you. I wish we could actually hang out, and I normally can't stand hanging out with females because they bore me. You are a rare gem to find. You guys have this idealized version of what it's like to hang out with me, and I promise you it's not that.
We sit on the couch and make fart jokes 90% of the time.
Yeah, or I get stupid stoned and I just giggle at shit on my phone.
Yep. We are very, very boring people.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
Oh my God, my life is great. I wake up in the morning, I do my yoga, and I meditate. And then I go work out, and I come in here, and I give you some love-ins. And then I shower, and I look at my plants, and I read a book a little bit, and watch whatever show I'm watching on Netflix, and talk to you, and then sit down and record talking to you, and
then do some more.
And then do that some more, and then stop and eat and talk to you.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do cool stuff with the kids. I'm going kayaking next Saturday. That's a new development.
You are.
Chris, thank you for being a true man, regardless of what stupid society tries to portray you as. Thank you for understanding how scary this world is for women. We need more men with the same perspective on life. For the rest of the people listening, you are the only one that can pull you out of your own storms. Until you do, you will destroy everything and everyone you love in the process until you better yourself. Yep. That last sentence was just a little bow.
Yeah.
On the end of this email, yeah. It was rocky at the beginning.
It was.
It was very tumultuous. Like I was in my little boat and it's getting rough and I'm like, okay, I'm kind of scared of falling over. I don't swim very well and I can't see the bottom of the water. There's too much happening. And then it calmed down a little bit and the sun started peeking through. And then I could see the bottom of the water. That's the bow on top.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a roller coaster for me.
Yeah. You guys let us know in the comments if you enjoy these kind of videos where we do these thank yous.
Yeah.
It's nice to not have to deal with a lot of ugly.
Yeah.
So
I'm super stoked that she worked through her shit.
Me too. While you guys are leaving those comments, hit the notification bell. We go live at random.
We do.
We go live on schedule on Thursday nights. So if you would like to see us live streaming Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube.
Yes. We are going to be starting the apology languages.
Yeah. We'll have already started it by the time this one comes out, I think.
Yes.
But do you have anything else that you want to add to that email or anything that you would like to add to the podcast before we wrap it up?
Nope.
Okay. With that being said, guys, we are going to call it. Remember that your life is yours to live, no one else's, and all your shortcomings and failures are only going to hurt you. So you need to work on being the best version of yourself every day.
Correct.
We'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye, guys.